Pretending that you have it all together can be absolutely exhausting. I know this because I am proof that you don't have to have it all together, that life can be messy, that it's okay to not be okay and to not have all of the answers, and how the best things can come in the most unexpected places. If that resonated even just a little bit, continue watching this video because I'm about to break down that limiting belief that is literally keeping you exhausted, burnt out, and all of the other things. For those who don't know me, I am Imani Adia. I'm the founder of Soul 360 and creator of the Limitless Method. I help creators, founders, leaders just like you to release, define, and align with their most limitless self. So we're talking about one of the most exhausting beliefs ever, which is I have to have it all together. Number one, it's limiting. Number two, it just leads you to a place where you are isolated. It leads you to a place where you're not supported. It leads you to a place where you are confined by your own ideas and thoughts, and not really truly being able to live freely or to live in your limitless. Now, how did this belief even come to be, and what does it look like? You can be an eldest daughter. I'm one of those. You can also be a high achiever. I was a straight A student, and so I absolutely loved the validation. I love the approval that came with being the responsible one, being the one that my parents didn't have to worry about, being the one that teachers would look towards for answers or look towards to help out other students. It feels good. So that's part of it, right? It's about you just showing up in a way that you've always kind of had it together. And then there's this other side. For me as a Black woman, I saw firsthand, especially during high school, the lack of grace that Black women are given. And so I wanted to have it all together so that there was never any room for them to even have to give me grace, because I just wanted to be on top of my work. I wanted to be on top. And so I knew the different narratives and the different stereotypes that people have around Black women. I was very aware of that at that age. I was aware of being perfect and being twice as good, and this whole entire thought or belief around the lack of chances that you would be able to have. It can also become dangerous when that expectation of you always having it together makes you second guess if you should ask for support. It makes you second guess when you don't know the answers, and how that makes you see yourself, and how that makes you isolate yourself and try to figure out everything on your own, even though number one, we are people who should be in community with other people. Number two, no one gets anywhere on their path by themselves. No one is truly just self-made. There are conversations, there are mentors, there are family members who are in their corners helping to support their dreams and their goals. And that is really one of the first steps in really letting go of this belief, is just knowing that you can be supported. And so it was the way that I was showing up. And so it's twofold. It's the recognition and it's the accolades and being seen. And then it's the other part of a world that tells you you only get one shot and you better not mess it up. And so the deck was stacked with all of these identities, but also the societal expectations. And so after a while, I didn't even realize that I was performing to fit in a role. It was just a role that felt like was me. And so what happens when you are at the crossroads and you realize you actually don't have it all together, when you don't have all the answers? Option one is that you just keep performing and you keep smiling, or option two is giving yourself the grace and the space to actually explore, to actually ask for help, to actually show up in a way that you can be proud of the life that you are living. Before we go deeper, here are some indicators that your soul may need a change. Number one, you are just exhausted mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and in some cases even physically. You feel drained by the work that you are doing, but you just continue to show up in the meetings and you continue to smile. You have a lot of anxious thoughts, but you continue to tell everybody that you are fine. You also literally don't know where you're headed. Like, you are so scared of not having a plan A. And so you're just going throughout your day, even though you don't know where you're truly headed. And then you also never ask for help. You see asking for help as a weakness. And then last but not least, you're still holding space for other people and their emotions while you haven't necessarily gotten a space or allowed yourself to have a space for your own emotions. And so if this sounds like you, I hold your hand as I say this. You're not holding it together, you're just holding it in. And that is literally one of the worst things that you can do to yourself, because you deserve so much more. And so this is the reminder that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all together all of the time. You don't always have to be the strong and responsible one, right? You are allowed to explore and to not know the answers. You're allowed to have someone else hold space for your emotions as well. And so how do you move forward? It's about being honest with where you are at. It's about setting boundaries. It's about relaxing and resting. It's about being okay with not having all the answers. I remember during my first semester of college, absolutely not knowing what I was doing, right? It's a new environment. I'm not being told what to do anymore. All of the agency is really up to me. And I remember literally basically drowning in not knowing where I was headed, right? I was just out in the ocean trying to catch my breath, and I didn't want to ask for help, which would have just been a lifeline to help probably pull me back to land. I just wanted to figure it out on my own. And it came to a place where I was drowning and literally crying so much that I got sick. And I was like, you know what? You have to choose to do something differently. And so I did. I remember second semester when choosing my schedule, I allowed myself free reign. I was taking classes in education, computer science, health, communications, math. It was an array of courses that I was taking. African American studies. I was taking classes in every single field. And I remember walking around campus for my gym class. They just were like, you know, as long as you go get some steps in for the day, that's what I allow you all to do today, which was really cool because usually she was a stickler. And so I'm walking around. I ended up walking by myself, actually. And while thinking and walking, I was able to really sit with my thoughts about where I was headed during the semester, what classes I was loving, what major I wanted to declare. And it was so freeing during that time, just exploring and trying classes that I necessarily didn't come in with on my radar. And I found what I needed, and I found that I was going to be okay. And I remember literally emailing one of my professors and asking if they would be willing to get lunch with me. I get lunch with her and I have a conversation with her about what it is that I want to do. I have a conversation with her about where I'm thinking, and she sits, and I remember her looking at me and saying, I knew from the first day in my class that this is the major that you were supposed to have. And she was just so great about it. And it's so crazy because I was afraid about how people would judge me. I was afraid about changing my major from STEM to communications just because of the stigma around, oh, if you're in STEM, then you must be a genius. And then if you're in communications or the arts, like, what are you going to do with that degree? And it's crazy because that professor in particular, I respect her so much. I think the work that she has done is absolutely brilliant in terms of what she has produced in classes, but also what she's produced in her own research. And I would hope to be like her one day in the community that she has built, in the lives that she has impacted, in the thinking that she brings to the table, like thought leader. And if somebody was to judge me for being like her, I would say that's on you, that's not on me, because I think she is absolutely fabulous. I think she is absolutely brilliant. And seeing her, right, it goes back to the whole idea of proof and just allowing yourself to see where it is that you vibe with, to see who it is that you could be one day. And so I'm thankful for her existence because it's proof of, right, who I could possibly be. So forever grateful for that conversation, but also for those classes. But I'm also forever grateful to myself for giving myself that space to just say, hey, what we were doing before is really not working out. Like, it's working out, but not in the way that you deserve. You deserve more. You deserve better. And the only person who is going to give that to you is yourself. It literally starts with you. And that was a whole ripple effect that led me to completing a senior thesis, which not a lot of people do in undergrad. I was 2% of people who did it for my actual major. It really led me on the path to creating one of the greatest gifts that I've been able to give to my grandmothers, my parents, and even to myself in creating and performing right beyond the roots. And so a really great journal question for you to start with is, where am I pretending in my life? Be honest about it. You can do a think and walk, or you can literally just sit and journal and allow whatever comes up for you to come up for you. And this is going to require you to be 110% honest with yourself. And even though it can feel uncomfortable, even though it can feel hard, you will be better for it. Another great question for you to journal on is, what am I afraid will happen if I allow people to see me? What was really interesting is when I finally let go of having it all together and this perfect person persona, I was afraid that people would see me less than. And what I realized, what I look back and reflect on, is people saw me more. They saw me more as a human being, and they connected with me in ways that they hadn't connected with me before. And it was really beautiful. It was really beautiful to see people support me in a way that they haven't been able to support me before, because I had never given them that opportunity, number one. Number two, they themselves had stories that they could share with me. And for some of my friends, right, we were literally going through the same thing, but we wanted to pretend to keep it all together. And I think that's what's really interesting about social media as well, is because during that time, a lot of my friends were like, I was going through some really tough things, really feeling really similar, of just like not being able to get a good footing, right? Things were changing though. That's what happens when things are changing and you're trying to figure it out. You're not necessarily standing on 2 feet. You're not all the way rooted. You're not all the way grounded. And they themselves were struggling, but they were like, looking at your social media, and then even when I was talking to you, you just seemed like you were having the time of your life. And that's what we have to remember, right? Is especially with social media, and especially in this age where we feel like we need to compare ourselves to people and their social media. Everybody's social media is literally approved by them. They are allowing you to see what they want you to see. So if there is a struggle going on in the background, they're not posting about it, but it doesn't make it less real. That's something that they're definitely going through in their life. And so that's what I always think of, even if I see this picture perfect social media, if that's really the life that they're living, I love that for them. And if they are struggling, I hope that they have community and people who can help them to be supported. But I think when you start being honest and you start being real, it allows other people to do the same thing with you. And as I say all of that, right, I understand how difficult it can be to relinquish the need for control and control over the narrative. You're still the person writing your story. Just know that you don't have to write a story where everything goes right. And so there are 2 questions that I am going to ask you. What's the worst thing that can happen if you admit that you don't have it all together? What's the worst thing? The worst thing that could happen is someone judges you. And that says more about them than it says about you. And what's the best thing that can happen when you stop pretending and start allowing yourself to show up as the most authentic version of yourself? Well, you start creating and also living a life that you love, a life that honors you, a life that is truly limitless. Everyone gets lost at sea at some point where they don't know where they are going, whether it's being thrown in a new environment or just a shift happening within themselves and they need to get back on land. And some people, they make it there back on their own. And other people, they let the ego of it all go and they take the help. I am really excited that you got into this point of the video because that means you are ready to let go of this belief, which will allow you to breathe easier. It will allow you to show up for yourself in such a beautiful way. It will allow you to trust yourself again. It will allow you to connect back with yourself again, and in some cases also with others. And it will allow you to reclaim your energy and, of course, lean into your limitless. So here are some next steps to keep this train going. I want you to go back to this video and actually take time to do the journal questions and really allow yourself that space and also the grace to go through it. Remember, 100% honesty is what you need from yourself right now. I want you to practice honesty with yourself and also someone else that you trust. If it really is one of those things where you are just trying to figure it out, reach out to a person who is doing what it is that you are thinking about doing and just have a conversation with them. Learn more about their day-to-day. Learn about how you could possibly get involved just so that you can explore and see if this is something that you are interested in as you are shifting internally. If you want deeper support, I have one-on-one programming as well as my Raise the Bar Beliefs Action Results course that you can get for a special price if you use the code in the description. And then last but not least, subscribe so that you are able to stay up to date on any new videos that drop. That is all for today, and until next time, be limitless.